Today we're going to be talking about the most expensive guitar ever. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Addicted to Gear. I'm Tony. Thank you for joining me. So whenever I talk about guitars and I talk about expensive guitars, the first thing that normally comes to my mind are the classic guitars of yesteryear. You know, the classic 59 Les Pauls, the original Fender Stratocasters made by Leo Fender, the Esquires, the Telecasters and whatnot. And that is basically what I think about when I think about like really expensive collectible guitars. However, recently news has broke that Kurt Cobain's classic Martin guitar, the D18-E that he's used in numerous things, including the Unplugged session that was recorded on MTV way back, and that was about 4 or 5 months before he actually committed suicide. That Martin guitar has now sold for $6 million. 6 big ones. To me, that's astounding. The Martin D18 that he used was one of about 300 or so that were made by the Martin company. And it's, you know, iconic because we do associate that guitar with Kurt Cobain, especially with that Unplugged MTV session that they did that was seen all over the world. Kurt Cobain wasn't known for spending a lot of money on gear. I'm curious what he would think about his guitar selling for $6 million. Now, the person that bought this guitar is the owner of Rode Microphones. His name is Mr. Peter Friedman. He is the owner of Rode Microphones in Australia. They make some really great products. And he decided that he wanted to purchase this guitar, and he went out and spent $6 million in order to get it. The idea behind him purchasing this guitar was a positive thing because he basically wanted to take the guitar and show it or display it in galleries where people can appreciate it and have the proceeds go to help support performers or the performing arts. So I think that's a pretty noble thing to do. However, the $6 million price tag is a little hard to swallow. Now, I'm curious to know what you think, whether or not, you know, you think this iconic guitar, and it is indeed iconic, is worth $6 million. I mean, think about it. Previous to this guitar selling, the world record for the most expensive guitar ever sold was David Gilmour's Black Stratocaster. Now, that Stratocaster, iconic. I mean, we all know who David Gilmour is, we all know who Pink Floyd is, and we all appreciate all of the great solos that he's played on that guitar over the many years that Pink Floyd was creating music. So that guitar sold for a little under $4 million. Previous to that, the record was Eric Clapton's Blackie, right? The Black Stratocaster associated with Mr. Eric Clapton. Obviously, that guitar is also super iconic, and that one sold for under $1 million. And so to me, that was kind of a bargain if you compared to what this guitar has sold for now. There's a huge difference in terms of price tag there. And I wouldn't say that, you know, Kurt Cobain was a better player or anything like that, but he definitely did have a huge impact on the world of music. You know, he's known for his lyrics, he's known for the feeling within his music, but he's probably not known very much for his actual playing technique. Let's face it. I mean, it was grunge, so it wasn't necessarily, you didn't have to be a technical wizard on the instrument, right? But they did, however, change the direction of music. When Nirvana came out, you know, and grunge hit the scene, it basically caused, you know, an uproar in terms of where rock and roll was going till then, and really changed the direction completely. So, you know, he did definitely have a huge impact on a lot of youngsters and the music industry, and that's undeniable. Kurt Cobain modified the guitar somewhat. He put in a Bertolini acoustic guitar pickup in it, so it wasn't completely original. Another funny piece of information is that when the guitar was sold, it sold with a case, and within the case there were 3 picks, a half-used pack of Martin guitar strings, and a little sort of suede pouchy that I guess was used to put whatever Kurt wanted to put in there. And that was also included in the sale. So maybe, considering that was also thrown into the sale, maybe $6 million is not so extreme. What do you think? I think if Kurt Cobain was alive today, he might not really like the fact that his guitar sold for that kind of money, because he was pretty frugal in terms of the instruments, the guitars, and the effects that he actually played. He wasn't known for spending a lot of money on gear. I mean, he's well known for using the Boss DS1 pedal, which is basically probably one of the most inexpensive guitar effects pedals that you can buy in the Boss lineup. They sell for about $50 or $60. Used, you can probably get them for $30 or $40. And that is, the main component of that sound that Nirvana was known for. And in actual fact, that pedal was also auctioned off and sold for $9,000. So somebody is the proud owner of this beautiful DS1 pedal that was originally owned by Kurt Cobain. I totally get human nature, and I understand how people put a huge sentimental value on any kind of instruments that were owned by their icons, Jimmy Page and David Gilmour, Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, and the list goes on and on. But I'm wondering where this is going to end. I mean, how much are we going to end up paying for Jimmy Page's Les Paul once he decides to sell that guitar or maybe passes away? $6 million, you can do a lot with $6 million. So I commend Peter Friedman for wanting to give back to the community and the performers and the artists. However, he could have also gave a donation of $6 million to that cause as well and been further ahead. But on the other hand, I understand that it's an iconic piece of rock and roll history, and having that and owning that is somewhat of an investment as well. I'm sure he can turn around and eventually sell it for what he paid for it, or maybe more if he decides he wants to get rid of it. Now, the sad part of this story is that this guitar didn't actually belong to Kurt Cobain's estate. It didn't belong to his ex-wife or his daughter, because his daughter gave the guitar away as part of a divorce settlement. She actually gave that guitar to her ex-husband. So, I guess he cashed in on that deal and decided that it was time for him to maybe retire. And it's unfortunate that it ended up that way, but unfortunately, sometimes that's how things do happen. So for all of the Kurt Cobain and Nirvana fans out there, I'm just curious to know what you guys think about all of this. Do you think Kurt would agree? Do you think it's just, cheapening the legacy of Kurt Cobain by turning it into a business affair and selling it off? The fact that these guitars are basically turning the rock and roll icons of yesteryear into some sort of a business, an investment, and rock and roll was never really about that. So I'm curious to know what you guys think, and what you think Kurt Cobain would be thinking about this if he was alive today. Do you think he would agree with it? Do you think he would be appalled by it? Do you think it basically cheapens his memory by turning his iconic guitars into a business venture or something like that? I'm just curious. So leave your comments down below if you want to pipe in on this subject. I'm curious to know what you guys think. If you like the content that I'm producing here on Addicted to Gear, please consider subscribing. This is why I produce all these videos. I produce them for you guys, and I hope you enjoy the content. Hit the little bell icon if you want to be notified whenever I post other great videos, and subscribe so that you won't miss out on any of the other great guitar reviews, gear reviews, and live sessions that we have on this channel regularly. So that's it for now, guys. See you soon on another episode of Addicted to Gear. Stay tuned.